Welcome to a moment of intriguing introspection beyond the realms of fear, hesitancy, and doubt. A deep dive into the questions of the ages shared with the courage that may challenge perception, yet teases open the expansive depth of conscious awareness. This is a rare and unique moment in our collective history. And beyond all sense of dogma, I am Master Lady Kira Raa, promising to call forward the essence of all that you are. Join me as I offer the latest self-ascension revelations with supportive wisdom. And why not remember that peace, love, and joy are your birthright? So this is the moment to bring your hand to your heart and to give yourself the gift of relaxing into a deep breath with a wondrous exhale. I look forward to joining you right now in another episode of Expanding Consciousness. Well, hey everyone, namaste and welcome to Expanding Consciousness. I am Master Lady Kira Raa, having returned from my journey into the northern stronghold, the northern wisdom councils of this planet, back here to my southern stronghold here at Tosa Blue Mountain in Ecuador, as the flow really was important today. And I want to give a tip of the hat to 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 as well for suggesting that today it was really important for me to come to you live from our water therapy center, where the water of life is running constantly, where we are constantly in this sea of creation, dancing that in. Because this is why this part 2 of the Southern Wisdom Councils, of the Wisdom Councils that are coming together, this is why it had to be filmed in and near the water. Because everything in our world right now is about the water that we are surfing and the Wisdom Councils that are rising with this energy. So welcome to this very special episode. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it probably means that you did not listen to episode 1, and that's totally okay. Stay here. This episode stands on its own. However, I will encourage you to go back and listen to episode 1 about the Wisdom Councils and where I was when that show came to you, which was up in the northern reaches of Canada in a beautiful remote area that I just adore and am still putting together film footage about. And the gift of that moment, the gift of that show, the reason that it was so important to film it to you and to bring it to you from that area was to start the conversation about ice. And when I'm talking about ice, I'm talking about water. I'm talking about water in all of its forms, and in everything from this beautiful fountain that I'm happy to be standing by, listening to this beautiful flowing water, to the steam that rises from water as it becomes a new experience again, reforming itself through that steamed experience. There is so much happening with the wisdom of our planet and consciousness itself. And that's what this program is about. That's what this podcast is about, is that I am committed to this program, and I appreciate those of you that saw a rerun last week, and that was because I needed to stay in the wilderness. I needed to be in that northern area to really dive into all that I am and to understand that at a depth that I have not understood before. And in addition to that, it was that moment that brought forward and called forward the absolute knowing of the Wisdom Council experience of the North and the South, and that the rise of them and my call to be able to put this into the quote permanent record, which is what this is. Remember, this is your library of consciousness. And the reason that this is being inserted into the library is because this moment and this specific potentiality has been marked by many celestial events. It has been marked by many what I call triggers, these beautiful triggers, these hidden spiritual triggers, these things along the way that you place so that should this moment come forward on this planet, and it has, should we arrive together in this experience of remembrance, should fear and hate become a popular idiom that is being normalized, then the wisdom of balance and the wisdom of consciousness itself begins to rise. And that's where we're at right now. We're in the rising moment of conscious awareness, the rising wisdom of all that is. So take in a breath and just relax a moment And notice, I want you to really notice your mind, right? Notice your mind right now, just as you're going up into your head. Notice if there's any tapes that are running. Is there any conversation or back chatter that's going on? Or are you present? Are you able to be here, or are all of the judgments that have ever been put in front of you going a mile a minute? Because that's the key. That's the wisdom council. The wisdom council begins within yourself. And the Northern Wisdom Council is all of the upper chakras. And the Northern Wisdom Council is in both the literal sense, the physical, in every way. The Northern Wisdom is really been sitting in this ice for quite a while and is being invited to relax into its glacial presence, into its majestic presence. There is a difference between a slab of cold ice and a glacial ice. There is a presence in the ice itself, because within the glacier is a fluidity that is inherent in the form that it takes. Within the ice is the rigidness and the protectiveness that comes with that of one sense of being. Ice, glacier. Ice, glacier. To transform that, to lift that, to bring that into this illuminated, enlightened state requires heat. And last week, November 4th and 5th, 2024, time stamping that into this potentiality. Last week, what happened was that when when the southern Taurid meteors came in and they peaked on November 4 and 5, it came with such a fast, rapid southern rise that for many, it was too quick of a melt, and thereby the flow was unable to be established. It was basically from ice to steam without any momentum. An imbalance occurred. And when there is an imbalance, the energy, it's like the pendulum, right? Whenever the pendulum's always going to swing, it's forever going. It's forever going. But when that pendulum swings way out of balance on one side, sometimes it has to swing way over to the other side before it can come back and settle right into its harmonious being. So in that harmonious being, and it coming right into its center, we discover what? We discover ourselves. We discover the wisdom that has always been there when we allow the pendulum to come to rest. And the Northern Wisdom Councils, these carriers of great wisdom and great eternal presence, the direct connection into our cosmic being has been frozen. Not only frozen, it's been frozen in an energy of force, in an energy that says, come inward and protect. Let me stay inward. Let me not let myself be seen. Let me make sure that there's a barrier. And when that happens, we cut ourselves off from our eternal wisdom. And that's what the southern realm did for the north. Right now, on this day, November 12, 2024, the day that this was recorded, is the day that not only are the northern Taurids bombarding this zone of potentiality, here's the twist. They're bombarding with fireballs. That southern influence that came in last week, that November 4-5 peak of the south, of that southern energy, of that fire energy, has had its northern effect. So much so that in this moment, the way that this pendulum is swinging from north to south, there are fireballs that are coming in saying, hey, this is not the north or the south. This is the two as one becoming one again. The two as one becoming one again. Consider that. This isn't about giving up anything from anyone. It's saying, what is the best of the north and the best of the south, and how do the two of these, it's like, okay, let's take this king and queen and bring these kingdoms together, right? And sincerely, we have this frozen north and this fiery south. What happens when those two come together to create that which arises from those two elements
synergizing. Synergizing. Because here's the secret, here's the key, right? Along with the gift of the flow, right? The secret or the key is love. Love is the greatest wisdom of all. And love comes forward when we give ourselves the gift of saying yes to ourselves. To saying, this is who I am, this is where I've arrived, here's my journey, which is just a story at this point, because everything, every single thing that you have been through, done, experienced, witnessed, suffered through, lived through, danced through, all of it was simply what got you here. Because that's the ultimate wisdom. To arrive at a moment of knowing, really knowing who you are. And in the knowing of who you are, there is no need to do anything except radiate the blessing of being you. How do you dress? How do you dance? How do you smile? How do you sing? How do you speak? How do you spend your days? And what brings you joy? What brings you joy? And then follow that. Follow your joy. Because when you follow your joy, it brings you to that which is waiting. That which is the single most abundant thing that can ever happen, is to follow your joy. And I will share with you that in following my joy to move up and go up into the northern strongholds of Canada, what I did discover is a love that I never knew existed. I discovered people that are extraordinary, standing in a land of ice, frozen in many ways, yet active within the ice. Let us not forget that while there always might be an icy cover, there is a whole world that's going on beneath the surface. And everyone in that world is comfortable with each other in that world. And they're so comfortable in that world that they've forgotten that there's a big blanket of ice overhead. And that all you have to do is strike up enough heat and let in the sun. And that when that sun comes in, it's that balance that says the ice is now more hospitable and the glacial presence arises. So what is the glacial presence? Because the glacial presence really, really matters. The glacial presence of the northern ice fields of consciousness is I call it the regalness. It is, for me, it's very much the masculine. It's the benevolent king. It is this benevolent kingship that stands in the protective, strong, empowered nature of ice. Ice is very, very powerful and can withstand a lot. And it can transform itself to keep shifting and moving, and it's very, very smart. And in that protective field of the ice, when it arises into its glacial status, it takes on that blue hue. It transcends itself into that which is so pure that it radiates all that is cosmic presence. I remember when I had the blessing of being up in Alaska and up in Glacier Bay and other areas where I was able to be right there up close and personal with these extraordinary beings. And this was way back in 1998. And even at that time, it was obvious what was happening. But what was more obvious to me was the majesty, was the regalness, was the depth of this divine benevolence that was standing in a presence of ice that was itself as if a foamy, imagine frozen cotton candy, that it has this illumination, this light, yet its strength and its color. And to really feel that power when it caps and comes down into the ocean, and to feel the way it impacts everything and the way that the waves move. That is a wisdom fountain. The glacial movement is distinct. It knows it's coming. And when it comes, it has a big impact. It can only have that. But it does it in a way that is of its own benevolence. And this is the gift of the Northern Councils, is that there is a great benevolence and a wisdom that sits within your Northern Council, that sits within all aspects of what would be a North in this potentiality. And it moves us to the gift of the Southern Councils, because the Southern Councils are the ones that keep the watch of the rivers, that watch it flow. As many of you know, I am personally very, very, very blessed to be accepted into the tribes of the deep Amazon, where very few dare go. And these people keep ceremony all the time, all the time. That's why they exist, is to keep ceremony. And with every ceremony, they watch the river, and they watch humanity, and they call in the visions. And what they do has been done for thousands of years. They are aware of all, as they themselves watch the Amazon become mud. And I am unable to communicate with them for weeks at a time because they have to literally drag a canoe on mud rather than paddle it in the water. So what used to take 4 hours now takes 4 days. And to be able to explain to them how to integrate with the lands that would carry the ice. It is a fire, it is a flame, and it is carrying with it right now throughout the entire planet. The southern wisdom is rising like a flame. It's not interested in anything other than carrying the flame, and at its absolute basest, most banal frequency, it's a flame that seeks to burn it all down, because it's a flame. And it is rising from the south, and it is a flame, and it is a presence that says, we're gonna cleanse it all down, we're gonna burn it down so that we can grow again. The old farmer's field, right? We're gonna torch it, because then we're gonna plant again. So that's it in its most base. And then this southern flame in its most refined is this rising heat, this rising light, this illumination that comes in as Master Lanto, Ascended Master Lanto, the one who would be known from miles away because the light would emanate from him. And when he would walk into a room, everyone would know the light had appeared. And when I was in Canada, I very much felt like the representative of that southern stronghold, walking into rooms carrying that flame, carrying that light, carrying that illumination, and having it received and witnessed was an extraordinary moment in so many ways, just extraordinary. So take a moment and really breathe that in. Just really breathe that in. So the southern flame at its most refined is this illuminating presence. It's I am as you are. As the northern presence is I am here. Imagine I am here and I am as you are, as a unified field within you, the Northern Wisdom Council and the Southern coming together. The ability to call in the unified field. Many, many identify themselves. I want to step back for a minute. I want to invite you to take a deep breath. There is a pervasive acceptance of people feeling that they are, the elder, this elder, that elder, stuck in status titles, whatever. I invite you to consider that an elder is nothing more than one who carries the smile of the transcendent nature of the acceptance of all that is. And then you can do that at birth, or you can do that at 110. You might not ever do it. But it's important to remember that an elder is not made simply because their body has made it. An elder is a state of being. It is a presence. It is a glacier. A glacier is an elder. And when the glacier begins to reveal itself, when it chooses to come out of its frozen state and say, I'm going to melt just enough to start rolling, let me show you my underbelly, it's a sign of trust. Our beloved Mother Gaia is trusting us to pay attention and hear her right now. The majestic glaciers are starting to show us their underbelly. Both the glaciers that exist in mountains and the glaciers that exist within ourselves. The glaciers that we try to live within. The Northern Wisdom Councils are coming forward in every aspect of your presence and being, as are the Southern. And the Southern is the heat. The Southern is the fire. The southern is the fire tender, the ceremony keeper, the one who will sustain and sit there and say, I will not leave, I will sit here. I will sit here. The centipedes can run over me, the bugs can be here, the flies can be here, but I will sit here and I will hold this presence. And then I will embody that flame of eternal illumination and carry that forward in the energy of steadfast commitment, focused awareness, and complete trust. And when all of these counsels that we carry within, all of them, when all of them can be brought together within our self and in a room with each other, beyond the seeds of fear and doubt and hesitancy, when we can gaze at each other in the eyes, noticing the fire and ice within the one, and then noticing the fire and the ice as a one, inviting the one and the one to be one again, and in that oneness to create anew. We are at a moment about chemical transformation, which is why the wisdom councils are being called forward. We are lacking wisdom councils in density, there's no doubt about it. And oftentimes when wisdom councils convene, it's a good old boys club or a good old boys girls club of those that have sold out into a certain way of thinking to sit at the same table and conspire to say yes to each other and keep the same conversation going, and thereby not to ever invite that which might invoke the questions, invite a depth of breaking free into a level of conscious awareness that will actually affect what's happening here. Repeating what we have done over and over again, even with flowery language, is never, ever going to get the results that you want, my beloved Einstein. Right? You're never going to solve this at the level of consciousness that created it. And until we can all remember that we are response-able, that everything is ours to create, in that moment is when the shift happens. And until then, you live your life as the role model through the living rather than the speaking or all the other things that get everyone else angry. I invite you to let go of the anger that freezes and keeps you in ice. I invite you to let go of the conversations that constantly reaffirm that anger and get you worried and have you taking action from a state of anger. Reactivity breeds reactivity. You are response able. Breathe into that. When you are angry, then anger will come to you. But when you are response able, miracles will birth around you. What I know is that I love you and that I trust you. I trust you because you're here. I trust you because you listened to the entire podcast. I trust you because you have within you the seeds of the council, the north and the south, the fire and the ice. You are on this wave with all of us, and we are on a surfboard, and we are surfing into New Year's. And this New Year's Eve, December, is going to matter big. The alchemies are going to be weaving. There are going to be so many forces conspiring. And so I encourage you, mark your calendar right now. Be here at Tosa Blue Mountain. Get down here. Get on a plane. It's not that expensive. Get down here. Be here for our New Year's experience at TosaBlueMountain.com. Be here. Be here. Be wherever you're going to be to affect that which is on the surfboard of life experience right now. Fire, ice. Creating the wave as the mighty glacier begins to reveal itself, and that of the south rises to meet it with the burning and the flame of illumination outside of anything other than that one experience of being. To know, I am as you are. To know, I am here. I am here. And I love you. And I honor you. Visit 𝐟𝐸𝐴ndKira.com and be there. Join me twice a month on Mondays. Be there the first Sunday of every month for all of the full predictions. And take advantage of the site. Read, learn, discover. And I know that your heart will guide you. because the yoga of self-ascension is as beautiful and as unique as you are, and I honor your unique journey. With all my heart, from my nirvana and paradise to yours, I am Master Lady Kira Raa, loving you with all my heart.
Thank you for joining me on Expanding Consciousness. Learn more about the Yoga of Self-Ascension at 𝐿𝐻ReandKira.com, and make sure you're subscribed to YouTube official 𝐿𝐻Re and Kira. Remember, you are the gift. I love you and look forward to being with you again. Namaste.